White House Press Secretary Malcolm Kilduff has just announced that President Kennedy died at approximately 1 o'clock Central Standard Time, which is about 35 minutes ago.
Welcome back, everyone. And today marks the 50-year anniversary of President Kennedy's assassination. For one local man, today brings back bittersweet memories. Channel 3's Kristen Anderson talks to a former Secret Service agent who took 40 years to start talking about that historic day.
Paul Landis's kitchen table is filled with one of the most memorable moments in U.S. history. As a Secret Service agent for the Kennedys, Paul spent his days and nights with them. This is Paul on the left with the First Lady in Italy. Here he is with President Kennedy in Palm Beach. And this one is personally signed by little Caroline as Paul walked her and Macaroni the pony around the White House lawn.
It was a very unique time where we were close.
For Paul, the 50-year anniversary of JFK's death is personal and painful. On this dreadful day, Paul was in the car behind the president.
Just after we completed the turn was when I heard the first shot, came over my right shoulder. Then I heard the second shot when I looked back up at the president, third shot, and that's when I saw it hit him.
Through it all, Paul remained focused on his job for as long as his emotions would allow.
When it hit me was after we got the president's body back to Air Force One, and I moved up like one of the front rows of the plane and sat down, and I collapsed. I broke down completely.
Parts of Paul's memories are detailed in 3 books, but for 40 years prior, he didn't talk about the shooting. He says he felt a sense of guilt and failure.
I never liked to talk about the fact I was in the Secret Service, even because I knew the assassination would always come up.
Paul remained with the First Lady for 6 months after the shooting, but he says the emotions were too strong. He left the Secret Service, but has never forgotten a family so filled with kindness. In Cleveland, Kristen Anderson, Channel 3 News.
All right, thank you, Kristen. And for more now, we're going to send it over to Russ.
Okay, Chris, thank you so much. And with me now is Paul Landis. Sir, it's an honor to meet you. Thanks for coming in tonight.
Thank you very much.
You touched on this with Kristen in the story, but what does this day mean for you?
I guess it's a real milestone for me. I had a very hard time handling the effects after the assassination, and it marks a day for me where I've finally been able to release the pain that I held in for so many years, and I'm able to talk comfortably and freely about that day and what happened.
What got you through that? What was the thing that got you to this point where you're able to talk about it?
For 40 years, I wasn't able to do anything. I went back to Dallas at one point. I walked through Daley Plaza. Still couldn't put my mind at peace. But Jerry Blaine wrote a book about the Kennedy detail about 3 years ago. And once I was able to open up for that book, and
sure.
I was able to, it just started a healing process for me.
Take me back to that day. When you heard those shots, what was your first thought?
My first reaction, I knew what was happening.
You knew?
I knew a gunshot. I knew it was a high-powered rifle. Came from over my right shoulder, and I was immediately trying to scan the crowd. I didn't see anything, and I looked forward towards the president's limousine, and at first I couldn't see anything wrong. I noticed the president was kind of leaning a little bit to the side. But,
you were in the hospital later. You went to the hospital later.
Went to the hospital.
Can you describe to me what that scene was like in the hospital?
That was chaos. We got there, we arrived, and when we went into the lobby of the emergency room, nobody really knew what we were doing and why we were there. And once they started to hear that the president was there and had been shot, we were getting a lot of people coming in to see and gawkers, and it was just kind of an effort to clear everybody out of the way so we could have some privacy. And
sure. Jackie Kennedy still amazes today. She was 34 years old at the time. The way she handled this with such dignity and poise. You knew her. You knew this family. Can you tell me very briefly, what was she like?
She was terrific. Very personable, very friendly. She knew all the agents, and especially the ones that were with her and the children most of the time. Very personable, lovely lady.
Paul Landis, we thank you so much for sharing your part of history with us.
Thank you.
All the best to you.
Nice to be here.
And there is more to come after a break. Stay with us. You're watching Channel 3 News at 7.